Hello, hello. Happy Love Data Week. Hi, everyone. So we are so excited to have you here today for ICPSR Loves Data, part of Love Data Week 2025. If you haven't done this already, you can see down in the bottom of your Zoom screen in that toolbar, you do have some reactions. So go ahead and give us a reaction right now. If you could give us a little data love or a little celebration, whatever it is that you'd like to post in there. That way we get to see you a little bit. So we are ICPSR. ICPSR will tell you a little bit about us, but just to introduce ourselves first, my name is Anna Shelton. I am part of the membership team here at ICPSR. My favorite study is our Kickstarter Global Data Study. And I would like to introduce Linda Detterman. Linda, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Linda Detterman. I'm the Membership and Communications Director at ICPSR. I am excited to be working with Anna Shelton and Shelley Petrinko, who is also helping us with the webinar today. So I have a great team for you. And my favorite study is Monitoring the Future. This is a study about high schoolers, particularly this one, and their kind of their drug use. It shows trends on the types of things that they're using and importantly not using. We've seen declines in some things. So, and it's just when I have kids, they're about to move out of that area, but it just kind of gave me some insight to the terminology and also to kind of some of the things that might be going on. And so it felt real life, and it's just a really good study. Well done.
Agreed. Agreed. I have a younger child, and we have similar data for younger children as well, which has been very helpful for me as a parent. ICPSR also includes about 100 staff members. We have over 800 member institutions, well over 1,000 representatives of those institutions. And then we have one donut graph. This down here is Data Jeff. Data Jeff is our unofficial ambassador, who was born during Love Data Week a few years ago and is now very much a part of the ICPSR family. So we get this question a lot. What is an ICPSR? Of course, we are ICPSR. That is our name. We are not an ICPSR. We are ICPSR. So we are the world's largest social science data archive. This is some of our staff. We have an incredible group of people who run all of the business of ICPSR. These are the people who make that data so clean and beautiful. So cheers to them. We have about 20,000 studies that are available as part of our data archive. Thousands of our studies are freely available to the public, and all of our studies are available to faculty, staff, and students who are at our member institutions. And again, we have about 800 member institutions, and you can see whether or not you're at a member institution on our website. Importantly, our data are linked to over 100,000 publications. So we go through and we look at the journals and we try to see what is being published using data. And then we look to see if that's coming from ICPSR. And if it is, we track that through our data-related publications bibliography. So you can see an example of that over here on the right, data in the news. One of the things that we do with our bibliography is every week we look at what is in the news and we connect that to the data that they used for those findings. And again, you can find that at icpsr.umich.edu. There's such great articles in there. So what will you find at ICPSR? Broadly, we have social and behavioral sciences data, again, very broadly defined. We have data about people, so often people come for something like voting. And then we also have data about organizations. So again, my favorite data set is the Kickstarter study. But we have data about all kinds of organizations, all kinds of people and behaviors. We also have data from many time periods going all the way back into history with the 1100s. Our first data sets, I believe, are about horses used in war. So very interesting stuff. Of course, all the way through the present. And we have different types of data. So we have survey data, administrative, qualitative, quantitative, all different types of data that you'll find here. And Linda's going to show you in a little bit how you can search through to find exactly what kind of data you're looking for. These are some of our most popular studies over the last year. So the National Longitudinal Study of Adolescent to Adult Health, you might know this as AdHealth, Midlife in the United States, or MIDAS, Health and Relationships Project, Law Enforcement Management and Administrative Statistics, Collaborative Psychiatric Epidemiology Surveys, the Population Assessment of Tobacco and Health, or the PATH study, the National Crime Victimization Survey, NCVS, and of course, TransPop. We have a ton of topical archives. This is one way that you can search through ICPSR's data. If you know generally what topic you're interested in, but you're not quite sure what data you're looking for, try our topical archives. So you see some of these over here on the right. In our topical archives, I've just listed a few here. We have data on children and families, we have demographics data, we have a whole archive on COVID-19 data, another whole archive on social media data. We have data on aging, neighborhoods, arts and culture, and criminal justice. And those are just to name a few. We have more topical archives on our website. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Linda, who's going to show us a little bit about what ICPSR is and then take us on a live field trip.
So this is the comments here are they're not I guess the quotes piece. It was me sitting in a around a table just a couple of weeks ago, and and this gentleman was telling us he's a faculty member over in the medical school here at University of Michigan, and he was telling us about why he loves ICPSR data and what he tells other students, the students that are coming through his arena, as well as faculty and peers. And I was taking notes, as you can imagine, as fast as I could, because it was like such a testament. And you know, he talked about this. I tell them this is real research data. It's the real thing. It's curated. You know what it is. It's safe to use. You're not going to download it and you get some awful virus or malware placed into your computer. They're legitimate. He talked about how sometimes reviewers are dismiss students and faculty if they've done some research, and maybe because they didn't have the money or the time, it's not rigorous. It's really hard for them to dismiss it because professionally collected. There's a DOI. There's there's publications on it, so it is legit. And then he talks about how data collection is really expensive to do it right, and it's really time consuming. Where these data, they're ready to go. They're sitting there waiting for you to understand them, and you can start analyzing. Um, we know too that a lot of folks are at other universities, they're really focusing on time to degree reduction. And so he talked about how this is, you discover the data, you analyze and publish it faster because you are eliminating the time spent on data collection and the time spent cleaning it. So another thing that he thought was amazing is that the researcher or the student that's looking at this can already see what's been written using the data. Good for quotes to better understand it and to make sure they're not rewriting something that's been written already. And then the ability to help answer questions. A lot of times those answers are within the wonderful metadata. Sometimes here we get questions into our user support on things that there might be some clarity needed. All right, so we're going to go through this accessing of data, a little bit of a live demo. So it might get a little bit uncomfortable because you never know what's going to happen with live data. So let's go on. I think the next page, Anna, is we're calling it a data field trip. So hang on. You never know when the bears are going to jump out. And I do have the preparing you. So what I'd like you to do using the React button is let me know if you have an account, which we refer to as a researcher passport because it opens the world of data to you by clicking the thumbs or the celebration reaction. So, and if you don't have a passport or you're not sure, go ahead and give me a thumbs up if you could with the reaction button. So your react should be in the bottom. All right, we see a celebration. You have one. Have a thumb there and celebrate. Okay, awesome. So we have a little bit of a mix of both. So that's good. So what I'm going to do is we're going to try and go go live. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and you all, Shelley and Anna, will yell at me if you aren't seeing the front page of our website. You're seeing it? Okay. Um, so if you have an account, or if you do not, the first place you're going to go is to this login screen. And I need to explain a couple of things, particularly if we have a couple of administrative or ORs, official representatives, administrative reps at the campuses. So when you go to log in, if you had an account in the past, you'll want to go to the sign in with email. And you put in your email and password. If you forgot it, it's that typical, the typical process. If you're 100% confident, you already know that, you'd go to the migrate, because we upgraded from what we called a My Data account now to this Passport. There'll be more upgrades to come, but this is going to be the primary one. And you go ahead and, migrate your account to a Passport, or you will head over and sign up a brand new account if you've never been here. If you get stuck, your first bet is to go to the FAQ page. When you move authentication systems, of course, there's a lot of hiccups, and computer systems are interestingly different all around. And we have had a lot of them, and we put them into an FAQ. The other thing I want to explain too, and hopefully this will add some clarification, is there's this thing called the access through your institution. That's how I go in every single day, and it's In Common Federation. An In Common Federation is a subscription that your university pays for. Now, there are several levels of In Common Federation access. For many universities, they subscribe to the level that's called EduRoam. And what that means is that I can come to your university, I can log in with my University of Michigan credentials, and it knows who I am, and I can operate as a U of M at your institution. Then there are a couple more levels. The level that this is looking at is called the federation, or the federated level. And that means that through this button, it can recognize you by clicking on that. It can authenticate you from your organization because you've done this federated, your IT folks have established this federated button. These are things we learned a lot of this after launch. And so if you have the federated launch and it's still not working, we also learned that some of the things aren't so common with these In Common apps. Sometimes they can customize how it recognizes. So again, the first bet is to go to the FAQ page, see if there's anything that can help you there. If you cannot figure out how to, you're having any trouble, just use our user support. There's the email is on the FAQ page, and it's also at the bottom of all our websites. So we have seen a noticeable decline over the last several months of people struggling with this, and part of it because we've learned a lot and we can get it out there for you. But you should be able to log in seamlessly 24/7. All right, so that is an orientation to the login piece of it. Probably we'll never do that again, but because we had a recent authentication change, we thought it might be good to share that out to the public on what's going on. So I am going to remove the one that doesn't recognize me. Right now, I should be logged in, and this is my account. And what I'd like to, oops, I need to move over, I think. Oh, no, I moved it away. What I'd like to do is have you participate with us, kind of search on your own, if you will. So if you have something that you really want to search, a topic and such, I'm going to invite you to do that in a moment. The first thing that is important is that this is going to be all about finding data. I'm not going to explore the other tabs, but this is finding data. So there are, if you are interested if you have a beginner, you're working with a beginner, or maybe you're a beginner to all of this, One of the things that's good to get started is go to our data collections. And this is what Anna showed you on that other slide, is there's all kinds of themed data collections, whether it's, child and family, whether it's in arts and culture, addiction and HIV data, criminal justice. So there's all kinds of these themes. It's like walking into collection at a library. And you can kind of get to know what data are in there. Note that for most of these, what happens is if you search within the collection, it doesn't search outside of the collection. So that's our caveat there. If you want to go out and get all the good stuff, then what you're going to want to do is to go to the general find data place. And that's generally here, starting with a nice search term. So we're gonna start with looking at a search term, and I've been feeling like there's a lot of stress out there. So I'm going to do stress levels. Oh, you can see I've practiced with this before. So stress levels is what I'm searching. If you have a topic you're interested, please go ahead and enter it in and see what you get. So I found over almost 2,200 studies that have to do with stress. And you can search down. This is going to come from all the data collections as well as our self-deposit group, self-deposit repository open ICPSR. And I'm going to head here to stress in America. And then give you a little orientation about what's going on here. When ICPSR talks about metadata, and this is what that gentleman was talking about, it's really marked up. You know what's going on here. This is the metadata. All kinds of information about when it was collected, what it's about, and what's in there. But wait, there's more. There's more on the scope of the project. And the methodologies. So on this one, for example, we see that it was collected via Harris poll, which is typically a panel of respondents that have been put together. Now, this is since 2007, and the later, so there it's a time series one, so there are many different years of it. So that is the metadata. It's very important to take a look at that before you really do with anything, because it may or may not be suitable for you or the individual that you're helping. Then there's this one called data and documentation. That's where you get the data, but importantly, it's also where you get the documentation. And see, this is the one here that I'm going to show you a little bit about. This is a cumulative data set. That means that it's taking that 2007 wave of the information all the way through 2018. And we've done the work for you. We've put it together. We've noted, if they changed questions or if they've done some wonky things with it, we've noted in what's called the process notes. All right, so this gives you a click into there's a code book that we produced. There's also a questionnaire, that's the original questionnaire that came. And of course, I might have done a little bit of downloading first, but you can go ahead and say, I want this in SPSS. It's going to bring in, this is if you just want the code book or you just want to look at it in an ebook. If you select SPSS, you're going to get the code book and all the other metadata that come with it, as well as the questionnaire that we always send the documentation and the metadata with it. So let's see. And then a quick note while we were on, we call this affectionately the study homepage. You'll see this thing called data related publications. It's here and it's also here. When you click on this, what this is are they are reports, book chapters, journal entry or journal reports that have been articles that have been produced, and they used they used the Stress in America, which is the one that we're looking at in addition to others, or it might just be they used simply just this one survey. This one used that concatenated file. So this gives you all that we have found to date. And it's a really good read through if you're thinking that you want to write an article on something. Make sure that we haven't already found it, but it also will give you a sense of what are in the data. Now I'm going to go back to this one and give you a couple other little tidbits about the study homepage. or yeah, about what you're seeing here. So variables. Variables mean it's looking for questions that are in the study that that might have stress or levels or stress levels measured in it. So you can see here is a study. It's a CBS News poll. It tells you that this is unemployment stress. And that shows you what the question is, and that's again what a variable is. There is, if I scroll way down here, but I won't do it for time, there are some of the variables from that study that we looked at that will show you the questions that are in there. So that is what we mean by variables. In this case, you'll see that the data-related publications are a little bit different, and that's because it's looking for data-related publications that have to do with a broader stress level, the terms broader stress levels. So it's not just that one data set that we were looking at. So that is the I'm just looking to make sure I didn't do something silly, but I think that is the how you search, how you find, and then of course I'm already logged in, so I'm going to do a download. And so what Anna is going to do is steal back the shares from me, because then I'm going to show you what's in a download. And while she's doing that, I want you to make sure that you're not afraid to go ahead and download data. It's not going to hurt anything if you choose the wrong thing and it's not for you. Um, it's it's okay to download and look around something and then delete it if it's not what you want, or if you're just trying to get used to it. It's okay. Please go ahead and download. So as you saw when I was in the section and I wanted to select the cumulative file, and I said, okay, well, give me, I want SPSS, which is a statistical software. And this is what it presented to me. So it said, all right, I'm going to give you this file. It's a zip file to start. It plops it into where I tell it to go. And the first things you'll see is terms of use, which basically you can't share this with everyone. You can't take it home and share it with all your relatives. Everyone who grabs this needs to agree to the terms of use and download it on their own. Here's much of that documentation that you saw on the screen. And then when you click on the data file, you're going to see that you have an EPUB version, a PDF. You have the actual data that is ready to go in SPSS and that original questionnaire. So then we can go to the next page. So what is the ICPSR codebook? This is something that we produce with people and electronically, and you can go ahead and click one more time there, Anna. And what it has in it is basically the entire questionnaire and all the variables. It also tells you, this is that concatenated file, what things had to change and be manipulated or fixed in order to put together waves from 07 all the way to 18. And then if you do the last click, Anna, and this is what the variables look like inside the code book. This is really cool. So this is the question that they asked, thinking about the past year. What would you say your levels of stress are? And this is how the respondents, there were over 40,000 of them, answered this question. They do point out the missing data, the people didn't answer it, maybe they were filtered out somewhere. And then you get percentages too. Unweighted data, so you got to make sure that that's okay. If they've oversampled or undersampled in places, you need to make sure that you don't need weights. And then you get the percentages at the bottom. Doesn't make much sense with a scale here, but if you had a 10-point scale, this would give you how many did the 1 through 10, so you could do a weighted average, and you would know, on a 10-page scale, what's the average that was presented. So that is what's in the code book. That's the variables are what the question are, and now the mystery's unlocked, and we're going to move on to teaching and learning.
I love it. The mysteries of the data have been unlocked for us. Thank you so much, Linda. All right, so let's talk about teaching and learning. So one of the things that I love about ICPSR is that we don't just give you that raw data. We're going to teach you how to work with it. And we have lots of resources for you to be the trainer and help other people to learn it as well. All right, so we have some excellent in-class exercises and we have some good resources around this as well. So over here on the right, you'll see an example of one of them. This is the voting behavior in the 2020 election. Typically, every election, every presidential election year, we will build out something like this. And this is kind of like a lesson plan where we have done all of the data for you. This particular one is meant to be for kind of someone who's already used data before. So something like a research methods course. Again, all the data work is already done for you, and you can find this in the Teaching and Learning tab at ICPSR. We have other resources like this, so others that are similar that take place over a few class sessions. We also have some that are meant to take place in just one class session, or I saw we have some librarians here, so you could teach these in a library setting, in a like a webinar setting, or a session actually at the library. And again, all that data work is done for you. And I emphasize that because we know we have a lot of folks who aren't super data comfortable themselves, but they know they want to be sharing this and teaching it. And so this is a really great resource for you to just have that lesson plan already created. We also have a resource called A Guide to Mapping ICPSR Data in RStudio. So we know that we have a lot of folks who are interested in things like GIS. That's a great resource for them. And now we have a new resource called Data Savvy Teaching Office Hours. And I'm going to share a little bit more about that in a moment. But this is a really great way for you to just connect with other folks who are also teaching with data or teaching about data without data. And it's a great way for you to kind of come hear about some of the best practices in data teaching, and then share your own and get to hear from a community. We also have a lot of student resources. So over here on the right, you see a decision tree. This is for our resource about navigating around restricted data. So restricted data at ICPSR means that there are data that you need to apply to get access to. And that might be because there's some sensitivity in those data. There might be a couple of different reasons for it. So there is data at ICPSR that does require you to apply to get access to it. But there is other data at ICPSR around those same topics that does not require that you apply to get access. And so this resource, Navigating Around Restricted Data, that's going to give you a lot of really great data that, for example, if you have an ethics class of undergraduates, or maybe you just have a bunch of undergraduates who are kind of out to save the world and they want to do it evidence-based, they want to use data, but they don't have time to go through the data application process. This is a great resource for them. And again, you'll find this at ICPSR under the Teaching and Learning tab. We also have a resource called How to Read a Journal Article. We found that a lot of our students, they know how to read, but maybe they've never had the experience of reading a journal article before. And it's a bit of a different beast. So we wanted to make sure that they had some good resources for using those. Now, as a data sharer yourself, as someone who is going out and being an ambassador here, that can be a great resource for you. You don't have to, we've already done this work. You don't have to do it, but you could put this into your social media, or you could put this into your newsletters, just saying, hey, we have access to these resources. And then a Student's Guide to Interpreting SPSS Output. We put this in here because we have a few resources like this where it's a little bit more in depth, and it's going to show a student how to use like statistical software like SPSS. And there's a couple of other resources like that again, we've already done the work. So please share these resources. We want them to be used and shared among our students. We also have an incredible YouTube channel. So we have over 500 videos. This is free data training and more. I was just talking to someone who used this. They had brought on a new intern and they just didn't have time to do the training, to train that intern directly. So they had created a kind of a series of ICPSR videos that they wanted that intern to watch to get a sense of what the data was and how they should be using it. We also have a really great series on here called No Stupid Questions. And this was born out of, we were talking to some of our librarian representatives and some of our faculty, and they were saying that sometimes they had students, particularly in something like a data carpentry class, where the students wouldn't ask the question because they thought that it was stupid. And then later they realized, oh, everybody else had that same question. So we developed this No Stupid Questions series based on some of those questions that we hear often. One of my favorite ones is called "What is metadata?" We use this term so often, and if you're 19 years old, you're an undergrad new to sociology, you have no idea what metadata is. So you can come to ICPSR and get some of those stupid questions answered. And all of that you can find at our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/ICPSR. We have an incredible summer program. This is the ICPSR summer program in quantitative methods. We have classes that are online or in person. You can come to the University of Michigan. It's absolutely beautiful in the summer. Or if you can't make it to the University of Michigan or to one of our satellite locations, we also host these classes online. We have over 80 classes that are in statistics, data analysis, quantitative methods. We have qualitative methods as well. And over here on the right, you can see our general sessions start June 9th and go all the way to August 1st. And then we do have some topical workshops, which are May to August. So over here on the right, I have a QR code for you. If you want to see some of those course examples, go ahead and hold up your phone, scan that QR code, and it's going to take you directly to this page. But a couple of our course highlights. So our courses are a couple of weeks long. They're more in-depth. So some of those highlights, we have mathematics for social scientists, an introductory review. So if you are not a math person, this is the class for you. We have machine learning, applications in social science research, and then we have race, ethnicity, and quantitative methodology. That one's always very popular. All right, same thing. Here's a QR code for you if you want to take a look at our topical workshops. These are generally shorter. These are very popular. So some of the ones that are coming out this year, we have Social Science Data and Model Visualization 101 using R. So again, if you're brand new, if you've never opened R before, this is a great resource for you. I took a class very similar to this, and it was very helpful to me, having not ever used R before. We also have applied methods for studying structural racism, sexism, and other systems of oppression. We have images as data, which is mainly quantitative approaches. And then we have interactive visualization, dashboards, and apps with R and Shiny. One of my personal favorites is this data services course. This was the first course that I took through the summer program. I still have my binder, and this was years and years ago. So the data services course, it's called Providing Data Services and Support from Surviving to Succeeding. When I took this course, it was with a bunch of librarians. This is really for people who are providing data services. It gives you a deep and practical understanding of providing those data services. It gives you best-in-class training on service support areas and levels of support. So how exactly you're going to deliver that at your institution. And then the thing that I really liked best about it was that two things. One was that you developed this capstone project. So I left the course having something physical that I could deliver to my boss and say, look, I developed this thing. Thank you so much for allowing me the time, and it was valuable and it had an ROI. Look at what I was able to develop. But honestly, between us here on this meeting, the thing that I really loved most about this course was the relationships that I developed. The people that I met in this course have become my strength as we go through this data experience together. When there's times where I don't know the answer to something or I can't find something, I know that I can pull from those relationships. And that was worth more than the capstone project. That was worth more than everything practical that I learned. And all of that together was just such an incredible experience. So I encourage you, if you do nothing else, take a look at this Providing Data Services and Support course. It is truly incredible. Now, I do want to make sure you know we have over $150,000 in scholarships that are available for the summer program. Please apply by February 28th. That is our cutoff. Again, we have a QR code for you, so I'll give you a moment to open your phone and scan that. It's going to take you to our summer programs page, and you can see what some of those scholarships are. Again, apply by February 28th. And now just to give you a few additional resources. So one of the things I really appreciate about ICPSR is that, again, we have all of this data, but then we have all of this ecosystem around the data. So one of the things we really love is we want to bring in our younger students to really participate in the data experience, to really experience what data can be in their own way. So we used to have a paper competition, and over time, we found that most of our undergraduate students in particular weren't really doing papers around data anymore. But what they were doing was TikTok. And so we started this new data communication scholarship, which is a video based rather than a paper. So no paper needed. What we ask is that our students, they can be undergraduates or graduate students, develop a quick video about a data set that they've been working with, or something new that they've just discovered that inspires them. And again, this is open to undergraduates and graduate students. It is open to students at member institutions. And if you're not sure if you're at a member institution, go to icpsr.umich.edu. And on the membership tab, there's a list of our member institutions. There's 800 member institutions. So chances are you're there. And students can win up to $1,000. So I would like to win $1,000 for a TikTok video. So this is a great resource for them. And if you would like for us to share these, we have flyers that we can send to you. We have stickers. We have pieces we can send to you as email templates. So let us know how we can help you get this word out on your campus. I promised you I would share these data savvy teaching office hours. So these are our new office hours. They are with our Director of Instructional Resources. They are open to librarians, faculty members, students, anybody at our member institutions. And the idea is that you can come and share and learn teaching ideas for using data in your classroom, or for talking about data in your classroom, even if you're not teaching directly with the data. So our first one will be February 20th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And you can find the registration for that at icpsr.umich.edu. On that front page, we have our upcoming events. And then, of course, we have our biennial meeting. This is my favorite. This is where we get representatives from all of our member institutions to get together. We do this every 2 years, and it's an absolutely incredible community. So this year, our theme is Camp ICPSR. Our dates are June 18th to 20th, 2025. It is free for ICPSR representatives, and registration is open now. So you can find that registration at that QR code. If you click on that QR code on your phone, you'll be taken directly to the information page for the biennial meeting. And then we just want to make sure that there's so much going on right now. There's so many things taking our attention away. We know that it's hard to remember to come back places, look at, what's new. So we're going to come to you instead. So click on this QR code, scan it from your phone. This is our email lists. It's a page of all of the different email lists that we have. I suggest that you subscribe to ICPSR Announce. That is going to send once a month a bulletin. It's our newsletter curated by our incredible Dory. And what it is it's just going to show you all of our upcoming events, some highlights of new data, maybe our podcast, just kind of generally things that are going on at ICPSR. That's a great way to keep in touch with, kind of the newest, the latest and greatest, the scholarships, all of that. We also have other email lists. So we have an awesome new and updated data list that's just a simple email that comes once a week that shows you the new data that is available at ICPSR and what data has been updated. And that is curated by Shelley, who's also here in the background with us today. So kudos to the two of you. Thank you for creating these incredible communications pieces. We also have a summer program email list. If you're specifically interested in data training in our summer program, you can sign up for that email list. And then some of our topical archives also have email lists. So if you're specifically interested in a certain type of data or certain topics around data, you can find those there as well. And then, of course, if you're not at a member institution, please consider becoming a member. It is institution-wide. So once your university or your company or your nonprofit becomes a member, everybody at your institution has access. And again, that's access to over 20,000 studies. And that's for faculty, staff, students, interns, you name it, everybody who's at your institution. It also does give you really incredible discounted tuition for our data training through our summer program. You do get personalized onboarding, and all of that you get started at icpsr.umich.edu, and it's going to take you through all of the different resources that you have for getting started and what your next steps would be. But first, the best way to kind of get connected is if you scan that little QR code right there, that's going to give you an option to book a demo or book a meeting with one of us. And we really recommend that you do that because that is a great way to get your questions answered. It's a great way to get an in-depth look at certain kinds of data or certain topics of data that you might be interested in, and really just to, get a sense of what ICPSR can be for you. And with that, we just want to say thank you so much for being here. This has been an incredible part of Love Data Week. We have loved to see all of the chats that have come in. It has been so fun to get to hear from you. Here is our phone number and our website. And then again, that's our help email. Our help desk is available and they are fantastic. I just want to let you know that the recording from today's webinar will be available in the Love Data Week playlist, again, within about 48 hours. And we invite you to visit that playlist. Shelly, if you don't mind putting this in the chat, the link for that is going to be myumi.ch/ICPSR Love Data Week. And I'm saying that out loud in case people are listening to us and are trying to come in that way, but we will put in a link to that in the chat. And you can use that to find a link to the playlist for this year, and to register for other ICPSR Love Data Week webinars. So thank you all for being here. We want to make sure we leave some time for questions. So if anyone has any questions, go ahead and post those into the Q&A. And I'm going to go ahead and stop my share. Linda, you want to pop back on?
Sure, I'm answering a chat real quick here, but
Oh, I love it. I
you
love it.
caught me
That's
in the
perfect.
act. So,
No, that's good. We want
so,
to we
um,
want to answer questions wherever we can.
so, yes, just being transparent, but I think the authentication bug that rears its head a little bit, reared it up for one of our folks who is trying to sign in. So I'm giving him a little bit direction. So, but
Perfect.
indeed, if you have any questions, I'm seeing none right now, but Anna loves to answer questions, so you know.
I sure do. I have one. It may have just come directly to me. It's a question about those data savvy teaching office hours. So the question is that is it going to be recorded because they can't make that time? Unfortunately, this is not recorded. Well, fortunately or unfortunately. So this is our data savvy teaching office hours are really meant to be a safe place for you to be able to ask questions and to think things through. So we are not recording them. And the reason for that is that we want people to be able to come in, share things that have worked, share things that didn't. And again, in order to make that a really safe space, we're not recording them. But we will be hosting these once a month, at least for the foreseeable future. So yeah, so please do join us for the next one. I believe the next one will be around the same time in March. But if you are signed up for our email list, you'll get the information for signing up for that one as well. Perfect. Thank you so much, Shelley. You're the best. All
It's like
right.
she knows what you need. So.
She's psychic. She's amazing. Yeah, so we had somebody who asked about the teaching and learning, the lesson plans. You can find those on our website. Across the top of the website, there is a teaching and learning tab. And if you go to that teaching and learning tab and you scroll down, there's some classroom exercises. That's what you're looking for. Great. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. All right, Linda, I am seeing, thank you so much, Shelley. I'm seeing some thank yous. We were so excited to have you here. Thank you so much for being here. But I don't see any additional questions. So we're going to hang on just an extra minute, just to see if anything else pops in. But Linda, did you have anything else that you wanted to share in this last minute or so?
Um, I just got a question about federal data status and so you know ICPSR data, our mission is data sharing, data health, data access, and um, we are participating with a number of other archives to make sure that we have the data out there that are all the data that are out there that we can preserve. We're one of many organizations, and we know that you have to have metadata around it. So we're in the process of there are some things within our scope of data that we have and we know others, and we're putting metadata around it, and we expect to make sure that we'll continue to share it. So that is our mission. We believe science is the best answer, and so we are doing what we can.
Absolutely. And just to reiterate, if you haven't already, please do sign up for our email list. The best way to find out the updates on those data and other resources will be through our email list, specifically ICPSR announce. Perfect. Well, with that, you know how to reach us. If any other questions come up, thank you so much for being here. It was such a delight. I love seeing all these messages pop in with the thanks. It's great to have all of you. And yeah, if any other questions pop up, you know how to reach us. Please do book a meeting with us. We'd love to hear from you about what you're interested in and what you're thinking about. And if any other questions come up, reach out to us anytime. But from all of us here at ICPSR, thank you so much for joining us for Love Data Week, and we hope to see you at the future events in the rest of the week. Thank you so much.
Have a great week, everyone.